Standing Rock. They're innocent, unarmed people being attacked with water in freezing cold temperatures. Unarmed people. It's happening right now. There are militia-style police firing at point-blank range with high-powered mace on unarmed people. Who protects the people?
Do you know exactly where this is occurring?
Yep, I can tell you right now. Where the the protectors are actually off the state highway, as are the police. It's just beside it. Right now,
if there's police there, then it has.
The police are the ones attacking innocent, unarmed people. So what do we do to stop the police that are attacking and harming innocent, unarmed people? Because right now, as I see, we have a high-powered cannon literally hitting people at point-blank range in the face. People can lose eyes. People are going to get hypothermia. People could die. We have elders here. We have children here. We have all ages here. Nobody is armed except for the police. Who protects the people from the police?
Well, I guess if you want to put it up the chain of command, the next person to talk to would be the governor's office.
And in the immediate moment, while people's lives are in danger and being threatened and harmed and violently assaulted by police, who are paid tax dollars by these people, by half of these people, to protect them from them, who do we talk to now to deal with the immediate issue?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I will hold. Find that person, because this is an atrocity.
Ma'am, if you're talking to our department, the people who are in charge know about it, and that's all I.
Well, right now I'm calling about an assault. There are at least 100 people who need to be protected.
As I said, if there are police there, then that's what we would do.
So just tell me, who protects the people from the police? If the police are the ones doing the attacking on innocent, unarmed people, and I'm supposed to be able to call you to protect them, and since the people that are there that you would call to have protect them are the ones attacking, who do I call? Because I'm calling you for help. Because that's what you are paid to do.
I understand, and I'm saying the people who I would send to help, if they're already there, that's what.
That's not an answer. I expect you to put whoever it is on the phone to start calling these people off, because right now, how long have you been on the phone?
Ma'am?
In 3 minutes and 30 seconds, this water cannon.
I understand, ma'am. Okay.
I don't know that you understand.
I do understand, ma'am. And like I said, if you want to take this up, I guess the next chain of command would be the governor's office.
And for right now, where people are potentially losing.
As I said, I'm not sure who you want me to send.
How about you send ambulances?
There are probably ambulances already there.
No, I'm looking at it. There are no ambulances there. They're not allowing them through. They're not allowing them through. I can see it. I can see it on the live feed right now. They won't allow them through.
Okay.
That's not good enough. Are you a police officer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then please put a police officer on the phone. Somebody who took an oath to protect and serve the people.
Okay, ma'am. I understand what you're saying. All the officers that I have available would be down there, and so.
I would like to speak to a police officer, somebody who can help these innocent people who are standing up for their own rights.
Okay, ma'am. I do have to go, okay? I understand your complaint.
Can you please send an ambulance?
I will note, ma'am, I will note it, okay?
What does that do? What does that do to protect the people?
Thank you.
Wow.
Hello guys, let me start the show here without any of all this stuff here. There you go.
Hi.
Turn it like.
I made plans for later in case
See me. Hey guys, how you guys doing? We're starting off a little show. I'm gonna do some more things here. We're gonna talk about security at camp, protecting it physically, and also in cyberspace, because we're being attacked, we're being infiltrated through all kinds of fronts that some people should be aware of. So let me get some people on the line here. Other than that, how's everybody doing? Spending a wonderful Christmas? Doing good? Get a lot of presents? See a lot of hearts? A couple mad faces. Must be some, maybe the trolls. Maybe they got good presents too as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm cutting out. What you need, Wiyaka? Wait, what are you talking about? Let's see. Let's go back here and see what we can find. I don't see. Oh wow, we'll get this show on the road. Infiltrators. What do you guys think when you hear the word infiltrators? All right, you guys, you ready? All right, guys, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Josh Long. I think a few of our followers probably remember my voice.
And I'm a new guy. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about our experiences.
Thanks for being on today, man. It's great to hear your voice again, brother. I'm glad you're doing well out there.
Doing pretty good.
I say the last time we talked, it was cold blizzard out there.
Shiyé.
Go ahead, guys. Let's bring up something we want to talk about.
Alright then, I guess I'll kick it off. So my experiences at camp, I was there for quite a while. Got to see the ins and outs of things and started learning the ways they started kind of tearing things apart. And it's kind of disturbing, and not a lot of people are talking about it, so we'll be the first ones. But the main thing we're talking about is security. And security was a huge thing there. A lot of people there, good people, and a lot of people did the right thing, but the wrong people got in, and things started turning for the worst. And before you know it, things were going crazy, and there was anarchy that no one even reported on, and a lot of stuff that was happening. One of the main things was the way they were trying to control the camp, and the way they were using certain tactics to push people apart, and people that claimed that they were this person, and then they might have been someone else. But one of the main people we started questioning and stuff, and I ask you guys the question, is a gentleman named Vaughn. That's the topic of today. Who is Vaughn?
Who is Vaughn? Who the hell is this guy?
And my my experiences with him were interesting and very, I don't know, very, very convoluted. So
Yeah, do you want to start back from like a couple of days ago when you first kind of encountered them and just tell us kind of what that experience was like?
yeah, I mean, I had definitely encountered him weeks back, and different experiences. You know, he came out of the blue, and we had this one main meeting where he basically cut in and kind of tried to call the shots, and he called all the security together, and they keyed on everyone. You know, we were speaking on things, and things turned south. You know, it became a power thing. It became an ego thing, and you know, if you guys already don't know, when you're down at camp, there's not just one leadership. There are different factions. There are different tribes there that, you know, govern their own. And even though they come together to agreements like the old days, you know, it wasn't like security. There wasn't one set leader of the entire camp, you know. And after that meeting, you know, we had learned some pretty small things that they were going to try to do, you know, tactics they were going to pull, different areas that were necessary to commandeer that would affect the entire camp, and we started learning these things, and you know, after that, it was a domino effect. It was people started going crazy almost, you know, they're acting out, and you know that words were being spread around camp. Different messengers were being sent, claiming different things and specifics. I mean, it starts with security, but it ends up in a different realm. And but basically, with the Vaughn situation, they set up their HQ on the North Gate, just at the bottom of the hill where the veteran barracks were. And I guess one specific incident is where, you know, basically there was a lot of supplies left behind, a lot of clothing, a lot of good stuff. And basically, you know, we knew that stuff. Knew we needed to get to the people because of the blizzards coming, the cold weather, and not a lot of people were showing up to camp prepared. They were coming in. They didn't have shelter. They didn't have clothing, and you know, these were necessary things. You know, there are a lot of things located in these tents: Mr. Buddy heaters, clothing, good supplies, and this man I heard made a comment about basically, you know, when we were trying to move out the clothing, we wanted to burn it. He said it's just in the way.
Whoa.
And me.
What was his logic behind that? Was it like, do you think someone directed him to kind of like move some of the resources aside for certain people, or what do you think his motive was?
I mean, the clear motive was, in my opinion, was it's just in the way, and it wasn't important to him, and that the people weren't important. And you know, the whole point of security is to protect the protectors out there. You know, the people risking everything to stay in their camp and stay warm and look out for each other. And that set off a switch, you know, because the only other people willing to destroy property was Tapple. You know, they had already sacked a few of the camps in the front lines. Many people's rooms, shelters were burned, stuff like that, and that led a red flag, and a series of events occurred after that where people were forcibly being removed against their will. People who had done nothing wrong, people that
You guys still there?
Yeah, you still there, man?
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of got cut out for a minute. A couple of questions from viewers. They want to know that whether there was a couple of shots fired that night, they believe.
Say again?
A couple of gunshots that night.
There was word of gunshots, but you know, as far as my experience, I believe there was no evidence, there's no proof. I mean, people spoke of this, but I don't know if it was just to get the people scared, part of a scare tactic. But, you know, they were claiming that it was a .22 rifle and this and that, and I'm just like, why would they shoot with such a small rifle?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that? It doesn't make noise, but a lot of people would hear that, though, don't you think?
Yeah, and, you know, people claim to have heard certain things, but to my knowledge, I didn't hear anything. And that just started a series of events of scare tactics and getting people to fear for their lives and to want to leave the camp. So that was the main thing that they were doing. And I mean, it goes beyond security, in my opinion. And right now we'll talk about that, and then we'll move on to the other things. And this Bond gentleman and another lady by the name L'Oreal, part of the veterans camp, you know, I don't know, they were together, they were leading together, they were stuff like that. So I don't know if she had anything to do with that area, but a lot of her veterans weren't there anymore, so she didn't really have any full power, but Vaughn had control of a lot of security guards, a lot of people that weren't a part of the Kichita. For those of you who don't know, the Kichita is basically the police for the tribe, for the people, you know, for the natives.
Protectors of the protectors.
Exactly, and they're appointed by the elders, you know, and that's been part of
guys
the
like
ways.
Michael Marcus, all those great dudes, Mowgli, Mater, those dudes are great, man. Those guys were looking out for us when we were in need, you know, during those first few blizzards.
Oh yeah. So it started a series of events that unfolded into a larger thing, and it was really, really hard to control at that point because there's so many rumors, so many stories, and man, the list goes on. It was unreal what was happening, and it had changed so quick within days. You know, 1 minute there's 12,000 people strong, you know, ready to march the front gates, and not once did we move, not once did we stand up, not once did we honor the people who did, people who were hurt, the girl who lost her arm, the girl who lost her eye, many people who almost died from hypothermia, you know, and then it was odd that we went from such a strong unity to just staying in camp and not doing a thing. And that raised awareness to me as well. Like, even when the veterans arrived, they showed up 2,000 strong, more than that. And they wanted to move forward, you know, and no one would let them. And,
Yeah, I remember that. People were trying to apply for, like, medic jobs, and I remember they were just, like, giving them the runaround for a few days. And I know a lot of that's probably just hard, you know, to organize, especially with everyone's phones being down and whatnot, but still, you're right. There's a lot of people that are ready to do good the minute they landed on the ground, and some have already built barracks and stuff.
oh yeah, they were doing work. You know, a lot of good people. I got the privilege of meeting a lot of good veterans, you know. Bad thing is a lot of them got a bad name, and I don't know, maybe I'm assuming that was on purpose. You know, they wanted to start and instigate on a specific group of people, and a lot of them got shunned for it, you know. A lot of them were sent away and sent into different conditions of housing and stuff. Like at the casino, it was a refugee camp, you know, where people were sleeping in the hallways on the floor, stuff like that. I mean, it just seemed that the security had been infiltrated, and they were forcibly removing the people that mattered, people that were actually going to make a difference, and then slowly just a chain of events dropped down from there, and before you know it, the camp dwindled down to hundreds. And yeah.
So do you think that the amount of people that were there was 15 to 20,000 strong? I seen it at one point. There was literally traffic backed up all the way to the Cannonball pit stop, and then all of a sudden, just like that, everybody was told to go home. Is it do you believe that it was due to a political move, or else do you believe that certain individuals, even within the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and perhaps others, that were basically took the money, and succumbed to greed?
Yeah, the leaders, I believe, of Standing Rock, I'm not saying all of them, but the ones that mattered, you know, they abandoned us. they left. The cruel reality was that supply trucks were being diverted back to the reservation, and and a lot of the supplies that were on camp were being moved to secret locations, being hidden, and I believe that was a tactic to run people out of there, to cut the supply like they have done for so many years. And at first it was hard to believe that our own people would do it, but then I started seeing that they would send out parties, and people specifically that I knew that were from the tribe. They were working with a bunch of non-natives, and they would come to the camps. And at one point there was a day, I can't remember, but they said that all non-natives have 10 days to leave the camp. And it was actually 2 non-natives that came to me, and I said, you know, they're telling you to leave too. And these girls, they were like, it's, you know, we understand, we respect it. And I was like, well, if it wasn't for non-natives, this wouldn't have been as big as it was. You know, the people around the world, not everyone is indigenous. And if they are, they're not just from this country. They're from other countries all over the world. You know, indigenous is everywhere.
We're all indigenous, brother.
Exactly. And then, you know, I go outside, and it happened quick. You know, it was that day. They must have met prior, and all of a sudden you walk outside and you see different factions being, you know, they walked up to them, and everyone was saying, you know, you need to leave. And just something wasn't right about that, because then after that, you know, they started cutting off the kitchens. I remember it came down to about like 2 kitchens in the entire camp that were open. And they started announcing that they weren't going to be given breakfast or lunch anymore, that only dinner was going to be available. And, you know, when you're out there in the camp and you're living that hard life in these harsh weathers, you rely on food and water to stay alive. And, you know, we already had the issue of frozen everything. You know, the water was frozen. They had to boil it. You know, and that was just weird, because all of a sudden, you know, people of great leadership at this camp called upon all these people to come. We're now working in mysterious ways to get everyone out. And that was a red flag, because it showed to me that Standing Rock sold out. And they disappeared for a little while too. They claimed to have, you know, I was running for Congress. We were busy handling other things, and then they claimed the funds were unavailable at the moment. And you know, we weren't seeing, all over the world we're sending, and you guys know that, everyone knows that, millions of dollars. A lot of you listening in right now probably donated supplies or money, and it was not being used to its proper meaning, and people were suffering more than ever, and that created a divide, and that divide ultimately removed thousands of people that were there for a cause, and then it just started unfolding in that matter, and it really blew my mind. I was baffled, because there are certain individuals, medics, people who were acting as case workers, who would find reasons, medical reasons, to remove people. They would go off of the history that they've been going on for, you know, weeks, because they had been there. You know, there was doctors, there was medics checking on people all the time. But sure enough, their medical issues came up, and they were forcibly removed because they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and fight. They knew that this isn't over. And they were being showed up in full force. Certain security members, and that's what I believe, you know, the other side, Vaughn and all them, and the other individuals involved, that were forcibly removing these people. And it became a shit show. Plain and simple. I mean,
sounds like it, man. Especially since some of the reports I was hearing out there too from some of the Kichitai guys who've been doing live feeds talking about the same character and the same sort of problems. They started seeing that division starting, you know, to wedge in between people at the camp, which, you know, from when we saw it at the beginning of the month, there was a lot of people there, but there was a ton of solidarity to go around. Everyone was helping each other out, you know, whether veterans, natives, non-natives, native veterans, it didn't matter. People were all asking each other, like, what can I do for you? Do you need something? Can you help me? You know, people were helping each other quite a bit in the really, really tough conditions out there.
Oh yeah, and what was just amazing to me is, in the beginning when the storms were coming, they said, "We will stand strong. The winter will not pull us out. We will be here to fight." And then, just like that, everything changed. Everyone needs to leave. We thank you all, but we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, which is funny because I remember that Chase Iron Eyes thing that came up around the same time that all of these kind of stories started coming out, where he was saying, we relit the fire and the fire's going, don't go away. Like, we need more people, we need more bodies here. It doesn't matter where you come from, just be prepared, for the cold and the conditions, and be self-reliant, so that way you're not a drag on the people who are in serious need out there. And he was putting that message out there quite a bit, so it was a little confusing to hear those conflicting reports. People saying, from Archambault's camp after he met with Senator Hovind saying, "Oh, we don't need people here anymore; it's all done." And then still hearing someone like Chase Iron Eyes saying, "We need more people here," and then hearing the Akichita say, "We need more people here." It's like it just sounded way more conflicting, as the weeks dragged on.
Definitely, it was super conflicting, and it, it really worked. It dwindled the camp's numbers. People were hoarding their supplies. They were scared. They were going into survival mode. It was about the people, and then it became about their own. People were starting to take care of themselves, starting to take care of their own people, and that's when things really started to divide, because people needed wood, people needed food and water, and other factions who felt deceived and betrayed were unwilling to help.
And you're right about that too, brother. I mean, it was a survival situation. I mean, once the weather dipped down below the 30s and the clear skies were gone, it was a serious survival situation for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I remember it wasn't even that long ago. It was just the beginning of this month. People were helping each other out. You need propane, use propane. You need wood, we got wood. Everyone was helping each other. So it's crazy to hear, how much it's changed in that short amount of time.
Yeah, and it was. I definitely think, some things went down in the shadows, and moves were made, people were bought out, and now it's all completely different, and, they claimed a victory, and they put out the sacred fire, and I'm not sure who the elder was, but I heard it was someone that was new, came in, claimed that, victory, let's put it out, and the youth were like, no. And even the fire relit itself, because it wasn't over, and they still put it out. They still put out the sacred fire. Now another group started one just behind that area, and they're maintaining it as we speak. It's not the same. It's those were old traditional ways, and that fire had a purpose, and when it got put out, so did the rest of everyone's flame.
Dang.
Yeah, I remember that sign going into camp where it says, no spiritual surrender.
Not to mention the amount of, when this all started happening, the amount of infiltrators increased dramatically. It seemed like there were more of them than us at some points. They were everywhere. They were gathering intel. I tracked down many of them, and they became more tactical, and they were really in there. They had people all over, and they were communicating with, I don't know, they must have had earpieces in or something, comms on the throat. I'm not entirely sure, but, I watch these people, and I watch them gather without even seeing them reach out to anyone, reach for a cell phone or nothing, And most of them were press. Most of them were people that can gain access to certain areas. Press were allowed to go anywhere. It was so easy to manipulate a badge, and bring in a camera, and claim you're something you're not. And they were really getting in there, and there were situations arising and suspicions, at the front gate and all that. At one point, we believed the front gate was compromised, and we still do.
Yeah, I heard that story from Mike and Marcus earlier this morning, where they were talking about the gate not even being manned at 3 in the morning because it was a snowstorm. And I'm like, I remember seeing people up there when I was there during, negative 50 blizzard. It didn't matter. All the Akichita were always there. It didn't matter if it was night. It didn't matter if it was day. They were always there to be found. If you needed something, they had you.
Definitely.
But I heard stories of him him and his crew just disappearing all of a sudden, that Bond dude. So I was curious about him because I started hearing more and more stories out of camp, and I just wanted to hear, kind of what was really going on. And it just seemed like everyone had a story about him, but none of it was really that positive, And it just seemed kind of odd that someone would come under that guise to be there to help people, and he wasn't helping people. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly. And who knows who he had under his order, and who knows who's still in there, even though he's apparently been removed. So there's still plenty of people there that are new. I mean, the security shifted quick. A lot of people left, and it left a lot of opportunity for new members to come in and take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, also, if they're not checking people's cars at the front gate, I mean, that could mean people are bringing in booze, could mean people are bringing in drugs, could mean people are bringing in, firearms as well, which is worst case scenario.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
a lot of times go ahead.
My take on the whole thing is, it comes down to common sense. As me as a Standing Rock individual, and as what I've done and what I've been showing the people of the world and the people of Standing, what I've done is, I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I do believe that there were infiltrators, and there still is infiltrators coming within the camp. There's infiltrators within Standing Rock, within Bismarck, within Prairie Knights, within even
online too.
Even in cyberspace as well. We were so focused on the front lines. We were so focused on gathering all these people all over the world and all over America, and we did that. We accomplished that. But little did we understood was that when they came here, what were we supposed to do? Now, they either knew that, or we were just pretty much didn't have the resources to take care of that much people. But we did put out the message that when you come here, we got to learn how to take care of ourselves as well as we take care of others. But we were so focused on the pipeline that we forgot that we invited other people that were out for the no good. And it took advantage of our cyberspace. It took advantage of our GoFundMe accounts. It took advantage of the veterans. There were even infiltrators within the veterans. Not all the veterans, not all these people here are bad. There are good people. It's always been a balance between good and evil. And it's always that fight we're going to have to take be in our individual selves and within our community, within our leaders, within our president, within our country, within this world. There's always the good and there's always the evil.
Yeah, when I speak on the Standing Rock, the people are definitely good people. Everyone there is respectable, and I've met a lot. And it just came down to certain people, like you said, the balance of good and evil, and the certain people that were in charge and had influence. They made the wrong decisions, and now, just like the veterans, they were all shunned, even though there was good in them. And at the camp,
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think both of you guys have a great point about that. I think there is always been that infiltration attempt. There was that guy not that long ago that had the AR-15 that drove up, south from 1806, and he had a round in the chamber. He also had a Glock in his front seat, and he was pointing it at people. He was muzzling people with that gun that was in condition 1. That's ridiculous. For him to get let free by the Morgan County Sheriff, with no charges whatsoever, and then they come down on those 3 individuals who actually saved all those people by getting in front of them and actually, neutralizing that threat, they got federal felony charges put on their head.
Yeah. With that situation, do you believe, in my mind, that played out, I believe that, yeah, he did make it all the way to the front lines. But then again, you start thinking to yourself, was that really him going to the front lines, or was one individual within the camp let him have access to that, to try to play out a different role within the camp, to try to make the camp turn on themselves? And all this is playing an effect, along with the DAPO's military convoys, such as their policing, their security, Tiger Swan, all these tactics they use within the starting off with psyops. And of course, that's going to affect us indigenous people right away, because We're already dealing with alcoholism, drugs, domestic violence, abuse, all this 500 years of oppression, you know? And we're going to succumb to that right away. And we're going to have a hard time battling our inner demons. And that's what's happening to us right now as we speak. You know, that's tearing the camp apart. I've seen individuals personally that I know that have a good heart and do good things in this world. And I've seen them slowly turn to alcohol. And I slowly see them starting to separate themselves. I myself have done that. But I only do that for myself to protect myself and to protect and to also understand what's going on at camp. I get messages every day, threatening messages that if I go back to camp, this is what's going to happen. I get a lot of messages every day that people want me to go ahead and fly again. But why fly when they have all that whole place locked down and they'll scramble those drones and those drones will just fall out of the sky? See, they want to drain my resources and they want to drain my knowledge and they want to drain my human spirit. Like I said, common sense. I'm not stupid. I do listen. I do have a great understanding of things, and just because it seems like I'm tired much doesn't mean I'm tired. That means I'm being overwhelmed and just bringing in all this knowledge that it does make me tired.
Definitely. And to add to that, I mean, you know, people like you and other people, myself, you know, people who were making an honest difference and have served in the camp, they were being removed. They were being, by our own people, you know, as things started to develop and the darkness came, people had the light. People had the resources and the knowledge and the leadership to raise the camp back up. And those people who tried that were shut down. They were diverted. They were removed. I myself was removed. Did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. And I got
I mean, you don't have to go into too much detail because I know you got some stuff surrounding that, but I mean, give our listeners a little bit of an idea as to kind of like what went down that way, because I've heard some stories like that just happened like in the last couple of days from other security staff. So it seems like it's a pretty pervasive issue out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I can't go into detail yet, but, you know, I myself was acquiring a leadership role, you know. I took it on myself to walk around like many others did, to check on tents that were my own, to let the people know that someone did care. Someone was going to try to figure out how to fix this, how to get supplies to them, how to keep the spirit. All it takes is a morale booster. And many people there had a good voice. Many people had a strong will. And I started seeing those people slowly disappearing, removed. And right then and there, I knew that, you know, the top of the tier was infiltrated, and whoever was involved, they knew that they couldn't let this rise to power. And even if it was the own Oceti leadership, you know, they didn't want that. They didn't want people who were common people to rise up and show that it doesn't take someone of council or someone of Congress or anything like that to make a difference, to show the camp that it's not over.
And yeah, you're right, man. I totally agree on that, because, you know, that's the thing that everyone's been up against out there who's been out there. It's that we're up against a company and a whole government that's got billions of dollars to throw at the problem, you know, and all of us collectively pull together, you know, the impossible, but it's still possible, you know, and that's it's hard to hear that, you know, that they're in some ways, you know, trying to squelch that voice, like you said, of just everyday people who came together under the most damning odds and still maintained, you know, all the way through.
Exactly. And
it's still there even, you know?
Yeah, there's still a lot of strong voices, and I believe that if they make themselves known, they will be removed. They will be shut down. And there are greater forces at work here to make sure that camp doesn't rise back up.
Well, personally, I believe...
I remember they were talking about the winter pushing us all out back in the beginning of the month when the governor filed that notice of evacuation of the camp by December 5th. I remember that's one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to be over there. Is because Dalrymple said that Californians weren't going to be able to hack it through the cold North Dakota. We didn't know what it was like. Well, we were in a tent right up there in the front. We bore the brunt of all the wind and the snow and the ice, and we were fine. But we were also prepared. So I don't think they counted on a lot of people showing up being as prepared as they were. But we had hunters, we had fishermen, we had veterans, we had natives, we had people who grew up their whole lives outdoors. So this was nothing new to us.
Yeah, I want to say I have my suspicions. I want to call these people out, but they never will get back. I'm wondering why. As far as putting out that powerful voices, a lot of people here do have good voices, and I would say that these powerful voices will never go away. You don't necessarily got to be at camp. You could be anywhere in the world and still speak to the people of the world. It's about being smart, being one step ahead of these infiltrators and these people that want to bring your spirits down. Like John Trudell says, protect your spirit, because you're in a place where spirits all get eaten. And there are people's spirits being chomped away out there slowly and slowly. Even within the tribal system, within, the warrior society system, and within the youth system, and within, the general community surroundings like Bismarck, Mandan, all the communities of Standing Rock, even all the local animal life, everything's a system, and they're all slowly being chomped away by the source of greed and the source of money and oil.
Exactly. So, I guess it's really, the point is to raise awareness to question what is going on now and how we can change it. And really, are the resources that the people are sending in, the efforts they're making, and the hard money there, and they want to give back to the people and help the cause, is it being used properly? Where is it going? Ask yourself these questions. Is it being used properly?
Dean knows all about that. Especially with your drones and some of the stuff that people sent you.
Yeah, I've had apparently over $10,000 worth of drones supposed to be sent to me, and for almost a month there, I did not receive anything through the mail, and I started to question. And all of a sudden, they came out with this big old story that they had all these prepared, all these were backed up due to the winter storm and the blizzard. Okay, I can understand that what they did, but now I'm hearing stories back then, way back then, back in November and October. I can understand their decisions of what they did, because they're in positions of great leadership and counsel. But why were the people never notified? That's where a lot of people were getting so irritated. But it's okay though. I understand that they want to drain our resources, but you know what though? There's one resources they can never ever drain from any individual, and that's our knowledge. And that's the main resources that we could always keep building and building and building, and they will never take it from us. So they could take away all my drones, they could take away all my batteries, they could take away everything that I need here to keep going, but you know what though? They can never drain my knowledge.
Or that will to keep going.
Of course.
Because we're still going.
Because we're still going. And look right here. I've come together and I've gathered a lot of people around the world right now that listen into our little feeds. And they appreciate everything we say and do. And they say that we are the real news. We are the real news because our news comes from the heart. And we're focused on one thing, and that's unity, sovereignty, and the truth.
I feel that exactly, man. That's the whole reason why I even went out there in the first place, was because it was one of the only places in the country you could guarantee that you could get all of those things all in one place, because all of the people that were there in good spirits. They were there with high hopes that, even with the Obama administration announcement, being in some ways largely symbolic, but being the only announcement, in the 14 months this thing's been going. It's one of those situations where you kind of have to ask yourself, has everyone bitten into the greed bug a little bit, just like, the people on the other side of the barrier. That's why they're there.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I totally get it. I came from a poor background. I know what it's like to come up all of a sudden and you have all these resources at your fingertips that you never had before, but I've never been one to squander them away or to try and divert them from people who are trying to do good or people who are in need. You know, that's just who I am. I know that's who each and every one of us who've been supporting this has been. So, you know, I'm glad, like you said, like we do kind of fulfill that huge gap, the blackout that the media has decided to put on us. Because I remember when they were all out there, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago covering the Bakken oil boom. Every news media organization was out there covering how much money was going to be made, how much the local state was going to get made, how many thousands of jobs were going to get made. And then when the Bakken went bust, where's the media? They disappeared. No surprise they didn't bother to show up to the camp because there was no violence there. You know, we weren't rioting in the streets. We weren't breaking down Bismarck. We weren't torching Magdan. You know, we were huddled down in our camp doing exactly what we said we were going to do. We held true to our word, you know, and that's where this truth comes from. It's from people who were there, people who lived it, people who experienced it. It's nothing like a reporter can get.
Definitely. And to allow all those people to suffer and almost die, and then to turn around and dishonor their name and the work they did by standing down and holding at camp like if it was just some little retreat and like, hey, come here to live like the people but not fight like the people who were before them. And that is where a lot of people were mad because they wanted to join the fight. They saw the suffering going on and they came. If it wasn't for that night and previous nights, the dogs, the water cannons, this wouldn't have blown up. Those people made a sacrifice. They showed how true strength can overcome. And many people showed up to join them in the fight, and we were held back. And all the energy and all the spirit that was stopped in its tracks. And that had a big thing to do with it. You know, and I sit here now and I say, you know, why would we allow people to suffer that way and then not to honor them by joining them and creating more awareness? The world knew, and now the world is shadow. No one knows what's going on here, and there are a few updates. If it wasn't for you guys and this conversation right here, the world would still be in the shadows. You know, people think, oh no, the pipeline stopped. They're still drilling. They're cracking drills every day trying to get through that Missouri. And what people don't realize is if they get through and it leaks even a little bit, we won't know how much leaks until the springtime when the rivers, when they, you know, revive themselves and the water flows again. And by then it'll be too late. You know, they say, let's wait till spring, bunker down until spring. That's too late. It won't work. We will fail and they will succeed. People would have lost many things for nothing. And that's what pisses me off the most is, you know, we didn't start where people, we didn't finish where the people started, you know. And this is such a moving purpose. This battle right here can show that we can win. We can overcome money, immense amounts of money, because right now our currency used to be backed by gold, but there's no gold. Now it's backed by oil. That is the currency. That is the currency of the world, and we're fighting against the currency of the oil right now. You know, oil is so much more than people think, and we need it. We've been shown that we have to have it. We need it to run our cars. We need it to run gases, all different types of gases that are created, and that is where we need to stop. And we need to show that there are other resources that can be maintained and that we can shut down the oil companies that have risen to power and destroyed. You know, I'm glad for the movement that started and, you know, I stood with Standing Rock and all that, but we showed up to fight for the world. We showed up to stand for the world, for Mother Earth, who's being drained. And it could have happened anywhere. It's happened multiple times. This isn't the first resistance. Our people have been fighting against pipelines for decades. You know, and the one time that are really, really united, they're going to do all they can to shut it down. And it's in you, the people, not let it happen. You know, fight for the world, fight for the earth you live on. It matters.
Yeah.
Well said. Very, very well said, brother.
So to all the people out there who are listening in, you guys are listening in for a reason. I go through these threads and I through these comments every day. I even still see people that are pissed off, and sometimes they disagree with what we say or what I say personally, but yet I continue to see them on the feed. So they're continuing to listen on the feed for, because they have. Hold on, let me get these guys back on here. I need my clothes in my box and my jacket. I have a little thing from the computer to plug it in. Some white box. It's my jacket pocket. Your jacket's right in front of you. Hey guys, sorry, my no, my computer went down on battery. So hold on, we're still live here.
After the week we've had with live feeds, man, it's like I don't put it past anybody at this point. Anytime we start talking about something they don't like.
Yeah, that's how it goes all the time, man. You're trying to
not
block
just
us
us, on the FM radio station too, man. It was happening at the same time there.
Let me get this thing back on here. Let's plug it in. There you go. Let me get this all back up again. Then I'll get you guys back on the big TV. I'm just, like I was saying, I was going through all these comments here, and there are people that have negative things to say about it, but yet they're still on the feed. They're actually listening into what we have to say. And that means they're interested. That means they probably have negative things they want to hear, they want to say, but they still listen to us. Why? I don't know why. Maybe they want to change a thought, someone wants to change their mind. Maybe they're waiting for someone to change their mind.
Maybe they're curious what the truth sounds like.
Yeah, maybe they're curious.
For so long in all their lives, they don't know what it's like when real people stand up and use their constitutionally protected free speech.
Correct.
People aren't used to that. But here we all are.
Yeah. Let me get this going here. How's everybody going out there? Go ahead and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment box. I'll answer them as much as I can.
Yeah, I hope all of our followers are having a great Christmas tonight. Hope everyone's staying nice and warm, enjoying time with their families. All the important things that matter.
They're just nosy, they say. There we go. Hey, hold on. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna hang up, call back again. Oh, I don't know, hold on. It says you're on the other one. Let me hang up on this one first. Don't hang up though.
Sounds good.
You guys still there? Alright guys.
There he is. Hey, there he is.
Alright, back on now.
All right.
Where were we at?
Yeah,
now?
I think kind of where we left off on that topic, though, I think that was a great point that was made by both of you two. I think that was probably one of the best ways I've ever heard it put, you know, even being at camp and people who were speaking great truths and great wisdom out there. That sums it all up. You know, it's us versus the entire world's currency. And this small movement that started by people who gave that sacrifice so many months ago, you know, hasn't been forgotten. You know, we're not going to let them down. They had our backs before a lot of people had theirs, you know, and it's up for us to basically come up and stand in support for them, especially those who, instead of having a great Christmas, are worried about their legal situation going forward, or worried about their family because they've been apart for so long and they haven't had time to connect because their phones have been dead. You know, I think it really speaks truth to power in a very unique way that we've never seen in this country in a very long time, that people can still get together and people can set aside their differences and people can stand in unity and solidarity and set aside all of the hate and all of the greed and all of the things that have been thrown at us, you know, time and time and time again. You know, we've borne and we've borne and we've grinned it. We've sat through the worst, and here's a bunch of great people who are ready to keep doing great things. I think it was a gross underestimation by Kelsey Warren and all of his executives at Energy Transfer Partners who thought we can just buy off the government, we can just buy off the police, we can just buy our way out of anything. Well, what they couldn't factor in was the fact that regular people with very strong voices would rise up together, and in strength in numbers, we all came together in a way that no one had ever seen before in this country until very recently.
Yeah, the same goes for the tribes. This is the first time in hundreds of years since Little Bighorn that the people gathered to fight a same cause. And that is in itself was historic. You know.
Yeah, and all the veterans that turned out too. I mean, that was people from all branches, from all walks, from all recent wars. And here you have people that have dealt with bureaucracy their whole lives, their whole career in the military. And here they were helping, you know, Army helping Navy. You had Marines helping Army. You had everybody. You know, and everyone was chipping in. Everyone put aside everything that they'd grown up with, everything they dealt with, and they were just looking at the situation now and the situation going forward. And that's where we are today, still looking forward. I think all these tactics were designed to shut people down, trying to dishearten people, and try and rob them of their spirit. But all is done, you know, everything they've thrown, and the tougher things got, the stronger all of us became, the closer we all got. You know, the more that we all started looking after one another a little more. And I think that sense of community has permeated not just from Standing Rock, but all over the nation and all over the world. All people who've supported the cause. You didn't have to be at the camp, like you said earlier, to make a huge difference. Real life and death difference, you know, in a blizzard condition, when someone needs a pair of snow boots, or someone needs a jacket, or someone needs a sleeping bag. That's a matter of life and death for people out there. And, you know, if it wasn't for all of the great people who saved all that money, who sent something that they could, or even just sent messages and posted things and made sure that everyone that they knew had some awareness as to what was going around. That was what Kelsey Warren and Energy Transfer Partners, that's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on us to band together so quickly and to stay as strong as we have been. And all of the problems we've seen and all of the trials and tribulations have all led to us being more and more galvanized as one.
Yeah.
I want to do a test. How's you guys live feed? Who's watching? Are you guys watching on live feed?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, I'm gonna do a test. There's a lot of people talking about the fire that was put out by the elders, and then how the youth started a new fire. But there's another fire that everyone forgets that they have. It's burning continuously, no matter what you have, no matter how much water, no matter how much hate or fear can never put this fire out, and that's the fire inside your souls. Now, I present you this case here by Kelsey Warren. He's going to give you this case to every individual at the camp. And if you decide to take this case, you close it and you walk away from camp, leaving everything behind, such as family, children, the animals of the land, the water. You leave that all behind for this briefcase, and this briefcase here is supposed to set to let your life live happily for the rest of your life. And you go home and you don't talk about water no more. Or otherwise, you grab this case, you close it, and you give it back to the person that gives it, trying to give it to you. And you continuously stand there and you continuously burn your own fire within your heart to keep going every day and every night. No matter if there's a campfire going or not. Because warriors, they can stand in complete darkness and not be heard and not be seen. And still have that intuition to fight every day. So you guys make the choice. This much money. I assume there's probably $1 million in there, but how much will $1 million get you these days? Will it buy you all the happiness of the world? Will it buy you all the things you want, you cherished in life? Now, when it comes to money, you guys all think twice. Because when that money's out, you're going to go back to where you started from. Back to the ground, back to the roots. But this time as you come back to the ground and the roots, it's not going to be pleasant. People will look at you. People will call you a sellout. People will have hate. But the people won't have hate. The people will continue to just care for you, take you in. It's a life lesson for you to learn this. Don't get consumed by greed. Because in a way, we'll always bring you back. We'll take care of you. Because that's real family. That's what real families do. And you don't need money for that. You don't need money to buy into real family. All you need is just the will to keep going and do what's right in this world. And that's continue to stand for the water and the land and for the animals. Because all this money right here don't mean shit. You can burn it. And it can keep you warm for a day. That's the best thing that can come out of this paper.
Exactly. It's the new form of chains, my brother. It's the new form of bondage. It's the whole other kind of slavery.
Definitely. And the one thing, this may make the people mad a little bit, but one thing I learned at camp and in life in general since I've been a young kid is ask yourself this question. Do you speak more than you act? Do you speak and then not act? I myself am a person of few words, more action. And in life that has led me to be a respected individual and someone who gets things done as opposed to speaking on it. You know, those people that speak ill on this, do you act? Do you make a difference, or do you just speak words? And that is a major thing in life, and that is what's needed right now. The people need to act. The words have been spoken. The path is before you. You know what you need to do. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to speak more about it and not act? I know myself and the rest of them, and even the people that are interrupting this broadcast, that you will only see action from us. These words are only to encourage the people to act. So that is the one question you should ask yourself tonight, tomorrow, for the rest of your life. Are you going to be someone who speaks or someone who acts and makes a difference in the world? And know that you can. You can make all the difference in the world by just acting instead of speaking. Leave the words to the politicians, to the people of greed, the people who tell you what they're going to do and don't do it. And let them see the common man and woman who act instead of speak rise higher than they ever have. And that's what's coming in the world. That's what's changing right now.
Yes, sometimes they gotta hear it.
More, man. That's your words, man. They speak some serious truth. I know it's tough for a lot of people to hear because, you know, so far it's all been a lot of positive news, except for a lot of our live feeds covering the negatives, you know, and that's not the whole point of these live feeds, is it to cover, you know, the negatives or the drawbacks. It's just to make sure that little bit of truth still trickles out, because it is a blackout out there. There is no news coming from out of there aside from people who've been there and people who've experienced it. And like you said, I think that voice is something that everyone's starting to wake up to.
The only reason why major media was out there was because the veterans were coming, and Morton County was pretty much getting scared and pretty aware of what was going on. So, what to call next? Let's call the CNN. Let's call MSNBC. They could come here and they could show what's going on just to back us up if anything comes out illegal. That's the only time major media was out here during the winter, was because when the veterans came. If you put these things together, like I said, it's all about common sense. This day right here, as I showed this picture, was the first, I believe, was the first day right here when they used the psychological warfare. When this guy right here pointed the shotgun at kids and at the protectors, and when that's happening, a plane goes over, pouring out not chemicals, just pouring spray. And when that's happening, all this is going on. It's affecting your mind. All this indigenous people who are there is affecting us, and it's causing us to lose confusion and start to gain more fear. And that's when they started the psychological weapons, psychological warfare, psychops. And it continued every day. Every day it continued with the shooting with the rubber bullets, putting pepper spray in your face, shooting in women in the groins, shooting guys in the groins, shooting them behind their back, shooting them in the face. And all that you see and you witness and you experience on the front lines. And you see your brothers and sisters get arrested. You see them getting beat down, kicked up. You see all the stuff that CNN and MSNBC forget to show. Was each one of these individuals here all had their personal vendetta against us, especially him. Especially him. There's even one police cop on the force of Morton County that's admitted that he watches all our live feeds. Now, why would you watch all our live feeds? Don't you got like a city to protect? Bad guys to put in jail and investigate? Now, why would you want to watch all our personal live feeds? That's only people who do this have a personal vendetta against us, water protectors. Now, you got to start dwelling into their psychological thinking. You got to start thinking into what their minds are thinking. And they're doing actions. They're hiring people, thugs. They're also brainwashing the people of Mandan, Bismarck, who already have businesses and are already living happy lives. But give them a deal of a lifetime to go ahead and pull out these acts against water protectors. And these cops think they're nice. They think they're slick. They think they're being secret, but they're not. It's when you step out of that circle and out of that realm of the system, and you start looking at every individual as they go down the tree, you can easily point these out. You don't have to be the smartest man in the world. You don't have to be, you could be a bum on the street, a homeless man, and you can still hold the greatest knowledge in the whole world. It's common sense. And soon, these people here will soon be exposed to what they've done. And they will get justice served. And they will answer the people why have they done it and how much money they were taking in. Oh, we're all getting bad interruptions, guys. We're all getting bad interruptions now. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Josh?
Shout out.